Hi everyone, it's Jenny Lee and Angie here from Nourish Your True Self. We're coming on because Angie's going to do some short video series for us because we get a lot of the same questions from a variety of people. So we thought, hey, it'd be fun to come on and do a video about it. And so here we are doing number one.
Yay.
What are we going to talk about today, Angie?
Well, I thought it would be a good one because I get people stopping me on the street, family and friends asking, clients asking, potential clients asking. So a lot of buzz about kind of the term sugar addiction or food addiction. So people will often say to us, hey, do you treat food addiction? Hey, do you treat sugar addiction? And I think it's worth, well, there's two answers, right? There's the short answer of yes, which we never actually do a short answer. Like that's not either of our styles to just be a yes or a nope.
Not usually.
Very rare, unless it's like super obvious. Should I set my desk on fire? No. But the long answer is, I mean, the way we adjust and the way we approach something like food addiction is really starting to challenge how we think about that. Because the idea of food addiction, or especially sugar addiction right now in our diet culture, is it's just a thing. It's been proven. This is a real thing. I absolutely have it. There's studies to prove it. So you and I kind of challenge that to say, well, actually, there's a couple of things, and I want to kind of go through the two main points if we can spend some time doing that. There are two really big studies that talk about food addiction. One of them specifically talks about how the part of your brain that lights up when you do cocaine also lights up when you eat sugar or eat food. And they're like, oh my God, it's the addiction center of the brain. Well, further studies after that study was done show that that's actually the pleasure center of the brain. So it also lights up when we hear our favorite song, or when a new mom sees a picture of her new baby, or we're doing something like dancing and we're really enjoying it. So the idea that it's just an addiction center or that it's the same as a cocaine addiction, not real.
Mm.
And the other study that is cited an awful lot, they did a study and they showed, rats get addicted to sugar just like humans do. I want to pull back for a couple of things. One, a rat study is not a human study. It's where we start, and it's not where we start to treat. I'm just going to say that's the nicest way that I can say that. Secondly, in those rat studies, what is failed to be reported, because reporters and the internet want you to click, they want you to see, so they don't survey the whole study and they don't report the whole study. They report the stuff that's juicy, right?
Yeah. Headline worthy.
Totally. And you got what, six words that you're going to pick. So you're not going to put except for in these scenarios. So it's really important to understand that the only time any of those rats in that study showed sugar addiction, which meant they would binge on sugar past the point of being ill and hurting themselves. The only time that they showed that behavior is when they were restricted their regular food. Mm. Right? So if they had regular access to all the food they wanted and the amount of sugar that they were allowed to have anytime they want, they did not show that they would binge on sugar. So I think it's really important that the idea of sugar addiction has only been proven in a scenario where there's been extreme restriction. And that's how you and I see it playing out with the humans.
Absolutely.
Right? Oftentimes, and I totally get it, the way that people feel out of control and uncomfortably eating, and it feels very much addictive. It feels very much like I can't get enough. I don't know what's wrong with me. Mm. Oftentimes there's some no, I'm not even going to say that. Every effing time there's an underlying restrictive intake, some kind of diet, or I'm being good, or whatever the words are going to be, right? My healthy lifestyle. So there's a restrictive component to what I'm eating and how I'm eating. And we have this, our world believes sugar is bad. Sugar is the devil. Sugar is going to kill us all. So when we've got both of those things in our brains, it makes sense that we line it up to think, I think I'm addicted to sugar. But what's really happening is something a little bit different. And that's how we approach it. And that's how we treat it.
Yeah. And I would say, Angie, too, is it fair then to say, like, when I hear that, the only study in rats around being addicted to sugar and sugar addiction is when they've been restrictive, which makes me always super curious when we talk about people, because we hear out in the world sugar addiction totally in diet culture, right? And we're asked to cut back sugar and these things in the diet culture world. It seems interesting to me because, so this is my non-biology brain asking in a public video for you to clarify. So to me then, does it make sense that I feel confused that the diet culture world tries to cut these certain foods out for me, I restrict, then of course I'm going to crave sugar. We know this from the studies, and we know, and if people want to know more about studies and how this works in their body, I would encourage them to book with you to actually learn about this. But so then they tell me to restrict my food and watch my calories and all of this stuff. And we know that it's going to increase my urges around this. So is it fair to say that, like, that sugar addiction title is created almost like the diet culture world blames us? Now you become addicted to sugar, except aren't they the ones that have created? Is that what I'm hearing? They're the ones that actually created because they're encouraging us to restrict.
Yes.
Oh,
so and it's a convoluted situation, because I need to believe that the vast majority of people who are trying to help by saying cut out white or sugar or refined or whatever the words are, meaning to be helpful, but don't realize that when we cut those things totally out, or we make rules about how they are really, really bad for us, right? Like I saw someone post, a donut is as dangerous for you as drinking gasoline. That's crazy. No, it isn't. And I think most of us would be able to flag that and go, let's be serious. But it's not that far off the other statements that people make about sugar. So our collective common knowledge is it's really, really bad and it's going to cause disease. That's not true.
Right.
But then it becomes this cycle, and the dieting industry is famous for creating a loop so that you keep going back.
Yeah. And so, Angie, if people want to talk to you more about this, because we're just like hitting the tip of the iceberg, and I don't know about anybody else, like I've heard this, and so I wanted to ask on a public video for you all to hear, because my mind's always blown when I realize where the term sugar addiction has come from and what feeds it, no pun intended, what feeds it to become such a big thing that we're so afraid of. But then I'm also hearing there is a biological piece of, when things feel out of control, it also feeds into that, oh my gosh, I do have a problem. But there's lots of biological reasons that we feel out of control. Our body kind of takes over and allows us to feed and nourish ourselves in the way that it needs, even when it doesn't feel awesome to us, hey?
Yeah. And that's the tricky part. Some of that is biologically driven, but we blame ourselves for not having the willpower or the control. Right. And if we're not getting enough, and that's where we would get really deep. So I don't want to make this video 15 minutes, but if we're not getting enough, we are hardwired in our brains as humans to crave and seek out sugar, because that's the main source of fuel for our brain. So if people want to chat more about that, we can certainly, I mean, even if people said, hey, more of this, tell us more of this stuff on a video, I'm happy to do another video about this. Yes. Or people are like, I experienced this and I don't like that uncomfortable, out of control feeling, and I wonder if a couple of sessions just kind of to learn about what that is and what does it look like, so I'm not restricting, but I feel like I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. That's right up my alley.
Yeah. So if you're looking to get a hold of Angie to chat about any of this stuff, you can find her at on our website at nourishyourtrueself.ca, or you can even use our email, nourishyourtrueself@gmail.com, and get a hold of Angie there, and you can talk more about how this is applicable to you individually. We've talked about it really generally, but if there's things that have piqued your interest, or send us some comments, whether it's on our video or through private message on Facebook or Instagram. Get a hold of us if you have any more questions or want to meet with Angie to talk to her about these things. And we'll be back again another time with a little informative video. Hey, Angie?
Yes, we will.
Amazing. Well, thanks for joining in, everyone, and have an awesome day.